Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Ellis, Vice President of Global Industry Relations, here with my colleague, Mark Hill. Yes, Director of Operations for the UK and the EU for Renati. We are so excited to bring you a virtual showcase from Olympia's Winter Art and Antiques Fair.
Olympia really is a sort of grand dam, I suppose, of antiques in London, one of the great fairs. Are you doing Olympia? Did you find it at Olympia? All of these things come back to Olympia. It's one of our most popular fairs and extraordinarily high quality as well. Wonderful stuff all the time.
We're so excited. They have a virtual showcase going on with beautiful, beautiful items. Let's get started.
So I think, in fact, I bet this is something you'd love in your own home. What we're looking at here is, for me, the epitome of the three-piece suite, and it is the epitome of style and the epitome of Art Deco style, and it is a three-piece suite by the legendary Epstein brothers. Now, Epstein was a very famous company in its day. It was founded by Maurice Epstein in the late Victorian period, in the 1890s, but it was really his sons Harry and Lou who carried the name forward and really developed it into one of the highest quality, most luxurious British Art Deco furniture companies. And I think they were enormously successful in their day. They had showrooms in London, in Manchester, in Glasgow, and most of their pieces were specially made. So it's possible that this was a special commission in its own right. Let's start at the back, and you can see those beautifully curving lines there. And you really can understand why it's called the Cloud Set. And they're veneered in bird's eye maple, which was a very typical blonde wood that was very fashionable in its day. And I guess it sort of presages our love for Scandinavian blonde furniture. And the luxury continues with the seats as well, which are lavishly upholstered in cream and white leather there. And I think it is all about sort of comfort as much as style. I mean, you can imagine sort of flumping or sinking into these chairs and this sofa.
It's very special for sure. That is no doubt to anybody looking at this space.
Well, I just want you to picture the room that it might have been in as well. So we might have had sort of beige or white or cream, coffee colours, all those colours associated, those gentle, cool colours with the Art Deco period. But when we think of Art Deco, we think of, I don't know, the metropolis, machinery, hard lines, angles, steps. Now, if you put this suite into that room with all of those characterful and very typical lines, you begin to see how the clouds and the curves work against them to create that fabulous contrast. It is luxury, it is stylish, and it's a piece of furniture that would work today in any interior, as I'm sure you'll tell us.
I can picture this in any setting whatsoever. And to your point, it is exactly that: the wood tones, the leather color, be it original or not with the leather, it is perfection. It does create the most serene setting, and you do just want to sink in and literally float in the clouds.
So here we have an Art Nouveau vase in glass in the middle, overlaid with this fantastic metal frame. And it's by one of the most famous companies who produced Art Nouveau iridescent glass, Lurz, who were an Austrian company who in the early 20th century produced fantastic quality pieces like this.
Is this something that was normal, or was this to show off the skills? Because it's just beautiful. I mean, the glass all by itself is beautiful, but to add the pewter on top of it and just show those soft lines, are we looking at that Art Nouveau period? We're looking at skill. Is this common?
This is far from normal. I mean, for me, this is a real showpiece. This would have been owned by somebody who was extremely wealthy, extremely stylish, and really partaking in what was the fashionable style of the day. And yes, you've hit it right on the head. This screams Art Nouveau, inspired by nature, inspired by all of those sort of things from vines and leaves. I mean, there are no straight lines in nature. And when you look at this, there are very, very few straight lines. Look at those wonderful sinuous curves and curls, and the way, almost like roots, that the bands flow into each other and flow through and behind and in front of each other. It is the epitome of the Art Nouveau style.
You know, I pictured this instantly on a stack of books, but on a coffee table. Because what I love about the movement here is that you want to see it from all angles. It's one of those pieces that you want to walk around, see the light change, see it in the daylight, see it under candlelight, see it with friends, you know, with low light. Just enjoy this piece. It's not small, it's a nice size. And this is something that would definitely be that focal point right in the middle of the room in a beautiful setting. I just adore this.
But also, as you do that, the light sort of reflecting off that iridized surface will almost give you, know how like when you see petrol or oil in a puddle, you get those wonderfully colored reflective effects. So you'll get that as you move around it. But the real secret for me with Art Nouveau glass is to light it by candle, because it would have been lit originally by candlelight or by gaslight. So you get that wonderful low light, that warm low light, and it is really going to make it glow. So what we're looking at here is a late Victorian games compendium. And you might sort of start to yawn and think the only games I want to play now, you have to plug into the wall and hold a controller for, or something like that. Well, no. That's not real gaming. And you know what, Kelly, I love a night out on the town, believe it or not. And I was amazed when I went out last time to walk past a hugely busy bar I hadn't seen before just up the road. And I looked indoors, and what did I see? Loads of 20, 30 or 40 somethings playing board games. So you've got a feathered walnut box, that sort of luxurious, characterful wood. I mean, look at the quality of the veneer there. Then, of course, you've got the brass, the two colors contrasting and working so very well together at the same time. Open it up and you have a blue silk lined lid. And then inside, you find all those bits that delight you so much to play games with. And I mean, this would have been owned by a very, very wealthy Victorian family. So picture the scene. You've just had a lavish dinner. Your servants have gone downstairs. What do you do next? There's no telly box to turn on. Well, you could listen to some music if you want, or you could play a game.
This is a beautiful set. And to top it all off, the next favorite thing that I have, aside from a gorgeous box, is the working lock and tasseled key that it comes with.
Well, the quality of the lock and the quality of the fittings also indicate, together with the wood, that it could be by a company called George Betjeman. So Betjeman were founded in the early 19th century. They lasted until about 1939, but they were very well known for producing fine boxes and fine games compendiums such as this, with this very sort of luxurious look and this very, very high quality. So it's interesting you point out the lock there, because quite often you'll find the name George Betjeman or Betjeman printed into the top or inscribed into the lock.
I grew up listening to my father playing cribbage as a child for many nights. So game night has always been an inherent part of my family, but I can tell you that it never looked like this.
Well, why not start again? I mean, you could buy this one. And I think, interestingly, one of the things I found over the 25 years in the business is that these have always held their value. And I think that's partly, or even mainly, because they make such incredibly good gifts. I mean, Christmas, Father's Day, birthday, Mother's Day, whatever it might be. I mean, what a joy to receive this. So what we're looking at here is a refracting telescope by Jessie Ramsden, one of the greatest makers of Georgian scientific, navigational and optical instruments. I mean, Ramsden was one of those sort of perfectionists, I guess, but he was also known for just a fantastic quality build. I suppose the sort of, we might say, Durchvorsprung technique today about certain cars. And I think that really sums up the work of this Georgian instrument maker.
It's a decent piece with some weight to it. Is this a maritime piece? Is this a wartime piece? How do you think this would have been used?
I'm not sure this would have actually ever seen any sort of military or naval action. This might have instead seen action inside a gentleman's library or a wonderful country house. This would have, again, it's a luxurious piece. It's a luxury piece made for perhaps a member of the dilettanti, the great sort of 18th century students of science and the world and nature. And I could sort of imagine a bewigged Georgian peering through it, peering out over his estate, or peering out over a coastal view or something along those lines, or maybe looking upwards, looking into the stars.
For me, a piece like this would be perfect in that office where we know there's so much technology, because I love the juxtaposition of the original science versus what we currently are doing, right? So that for me is that play is so much fun.
this whole area of early science and early technology, it is the very genesis of everything we're doing right now. It is the genesis of the digital age. This is the start of technology. And it really wouldn't surprise me if some, or hopefully many, of those probably now aging young techpreneurs, the sort of creators of Google and goodness knows who else, start to buy and collect these pieces to display in their homes. After all, it represents the very start of where they made their money and where they created their own successes. Challenge. What's a bonbonniere?
Well, it sounds fantastic, whatever it is. And I will tell you that if I saw this cute little face staring at me, I would definitely pick it up, because if it's a little box or something that holds something, I am in.
Well, you're not wrong, and the clue is in the name, bonbonniere, bonbon, the French word for sweet. This would have held little bits of confectionery. And the Georgians were great lovers of little boxes and containers of all shapes and sizes, for cosmetics, for patches, for bonbons with this, or for games, whatever it might be. They were great fans of that. And this is an absolutely darling example. It really is the most exquisite little treasure.
I'm so lost in the eyes. I'm so in love already. But tell me, what is this made of, and why this shape? Is this particular?
So it's made of metal, and then it's been painted over with coloured enamels, so with coloured glass, almost sort of, some people describe these as sort of almost miniature versions of stained glass, because you take the glassy enamel and then, of course, colour it and then apply it with a brush.
This is a little tiny piece. So sweet. It's almost something that you would have to put under a cloister so that you could really highlight it in a design, in a room, because we're talking tiny.
So when you think of enamel and metal and something being carried around, and then you look at this and see the fantastic condition, no cracks, no dents, no scratches, no loss to the enamel, you realize how treasured this piece must have been when it was owned by its original owner.
So there are your expert picks from this year's Olympia Winter and Art and Antiques Fair. So excited about their virtual showcase.
Literally, check it out. I mean, with Christmas coming up, it makes the ideal place to buy that unique and very special Christmas gift. And I guarantee, in fact, we guarantee, right, Kelly, that there's going to be plenty for you to see, and you're bound to fall in love with something.
Happy shopping, everyone.